Hello, this is Dr. Martina, your online sex therapist and sex educator. I want to talk about a serious topic today, and that is stealthing. Stealthing is a slang term that's being used for removing a condom during a sexual act without the consent of your partner. Now, this doesn't mean stealthing can only be done by a cisgender man to a cisgender woman. Stealthing can happen anytime a barrier is being used during a sexual act, like anal sex, oral sex, vaginal sex. For example, if a woman shifts the dental dam so she can directly tongue her partner without the consent of her partner, that is considered stealthing. And the most important thing we need to know is that it is illegal in many places. It's considered a sexual assault for which you can go to jail, you can be fined for, and you can be sued over it. And in some countries, you can be convicted for rape when you stealth somebody. Stealthing has not always had this kind of a definition. It was used for other terms in gaming and other things, but it had a sexual context. It started in 2010 when the gay community started using it for having been stealth. In that case is that they had sex with somebody and they were not told about their partner's STI status, or they were lied to them about it, especially about HIV. So what we have now is that we have a situation where both women and gay men are increasingly experience this sexual abuse tactic. Some assaulters intentionally remove a barrier to impregnate their partner or to pass on their STIs. And that leaves emotional consequences and physical consequences for the victim of being stealthed, but absolutely none for the perpetrator, at least until now, because things are starting to change about that. In October of 2021, California became the first state in the US to define and criminalize these behaviors. Hallelujah. The Erotic Service Providers Legal Educational and Research Project supported this bill, saying it could allow sex workers to sue clients who remove condoms without their consent. Now, that would keep the customers accountable. Meanwhile, the states of New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Wisconsin have all similar bills on the dock. Now, outside of the continent of the US, in 2017, a Swiss court convicted a man of rape after stealthing his partner, concluding that the victim would have refused sex had she known the condom would not be used. Other countries like England, Wales, Canada, Germany, and Australia, Singapore, they all have prohibited this. They have prohibited the act of stealthing. It appears that slowly, at least in some countries, the law is righting this ship. But what can we do as an individual and as a society? First, stealthing is a silly name, and as long as we keep calling it that, a name that is almost exciting for the one who's stealthing because their motivation is to do something to get away with it, things are not going to change. So we really need to call it what it is. It's a form of sexual abuse, and I actually think it is rape because you're having non-consensual sex. So let's call it what it is, so the men know they're not going to get away with it. Secondly, we need to educate people about consent. The lack of education about sexual consent has created multiple generations of people who do not understand the distinction of sexual consent. And even the law is talking about some gray area consent. You talk to a victim, there's absolutely no gray area in consent. Either you gave consent or you didn't, or you were not capable of giving consent. That means you did not get the consent to have sex without a condom. Thirdly, many people are taught very early on that the cisgender man's pleasure and happiness is, the most important thing. More important than, anything else. And we really need to move on from that, because that is Neanderthaler thinking, and it's not the case. It is not the most important thing. Spreading the seed is not a right for them to do whenever and wherever they want to do it. If you've ever been sexually assaulted this way, reach out for help so you can have options for mitigating risks and regaining trust in other people. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Call your sex therapist. Call a friend. But just reach out for help, because you don't have to do this alone. And for the man who does not want to use a condom, that is your prerogative. But it needs to be pre-negotiated and enthusiastically agreed upon by all parties involved before the sex play begins. Do the right thing and communicate to your partner your preferred method of barriers, and do that before you start making out. Do the right thing. And if you need any help with that, I'm here for you. Just like I'm here for the victims of this, I'm also here for the men who are trying to do the right thing but need some help with that. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.